All right, so Ty Simpson, that's your starter. What do we need to know about now?
You are Locked On Bama, your daily podcast on the Alabama Crimson Tide. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back into Locked On Bama, AHSA Radio Network's Luke Robinson. That's me. Alabama internet legend Jimmy Stein. That's him. This episode is brought to you by Gametime. We'll talk about Gametime here in just a little bit. I want to thank you every day for being here every day. Thank you, newbies, for being here today. And thanks to everybody for making this your first listen every single day. You guys are the best. Jimmy, so we did a live show last night. Ty Simpson is your starter. Again, no big secret. I mean, they talked about it on Dusty and Danny in the morning today. They were like, yeah, that's kind of what we thought. I mean, it's almost like, did you have to announce it? But you did. You did have to announce it. So that being said, what are the next steps for Ty Simpson?
Mm-hmm. I think it's these reps. I do think that's one advantage into naming a starting quarterback now. Before you had to manage reps because it was a competition. Let's say even Saturday, which was the first scrimmage, which is, the major, no coincidence this is coming after scrimmage. As we say all year, fall camp is big. Every practice is big. The two scrimmages are huge. That's where things are decided. And what do you know? They have a big announcement after the scrimmage before they ever, after the scrimmage is when, okay, that's when word started to leak. There were not sure how many of y'all saw this or followed it, but after the scrimmage Saturday, they began to leak, hey, they're going to name a quarterback this week. It was thought it might be late in the week, but it wasn't. So the scrimmages determine a lot. But during the scrimmage, it was like, okay, well, Ty's the lead. So Ty's going to be quarterback one with the first team, and Ty's going to take most of those reps. But we've got to give a turn or two to Austin Mack with the ones. We've got to give a turn to Keelan with the ones because there's a quarterback competition going on. They're not going to have a fair shot to gain on Ty unless they're getting shots with the ones. Now you don't have to worry about that. That's over. Now it's just about getting as many reps for Ty as you can with the ones. Now you still have to give Austin Mack and Keelan Russell some looks because you're always one turned ankle away from the backup having to be the quarterback. So it's not like those guys are shelved or pushed to the side. But I do think Ty being officially the first quarterback, now you don't have to worry about being fair to everyone. Now there's a defined role of 1 and frankly 2 and 3, though that's an interesting competition starting going forward. I think today what I fully expect is Austin Mack will be QB2 when they go to Tallahassee. And I think it's a fair question to ask that I don't know the answer to. Who's going to be QB2 at Auburn, in game 12? Will it still be Austin Mack or will Keelan have made a move?
Will it be Ty Simpson?
Might be Ty. I mean, that is great. Oh, let me say while I'm on, I apologize. I took an umbrage to Josh Pate. I misheard. I'm old and I'm often showering listening to Josh Pate. Gosh, that's probably too much information.
That is
that's too much information.
The most disturbing thing that's ever been said on this podcast.
I said I was listening to Josh's show in the shower. That's as far as that went. But when he was talking about 2016 Alabama, about how Blake Barnett was the starter and Jalen Hurts came, he wasn't per se comparing the Ty Simpson situation to that. He was actually bringing that up weirdly as it relates to Ohio State's situation. But I also, on another show, I heard someone bring up 2016 as to Alabama. So I kind of put it all together as an amalgam, and that's not exactly what Josh said. And I said, hey, Josh said this. Josh didn't really say that. So my bad, Josh. I should have known you got it right. But I still will once again reiterate, I don't like 2016 comparisons here about Blake Barnett to the freshman Jalen Hurts, as in Blake is Ty and Hurts is Keelan Russell. I don't like it at all. If we must do an Alabama analogy, I like 2020 much better. Ty as Mac Jones, Keelan Russell as Bryce Young. I like that much better. I think it's a more accurate representation of the situation.
I think that's very fair. Now, some things that were said. First of all, I love the idea that Yay Alabama got the first interview with Ty post being announced. I mean, again, it just gives people reason to sign up for Yay Alabama. It gives them a lot more credibility. I think it's
we urge fans to do that.
We urge fans to do that.
We urge you to sign up for Yay Alabama. You don't have to. But we urge it. We urge a lot of things. We urge y'all. I think American Dad's funny. If you've never seen it, you should watch it.
Now,
I'm not going to urge you to do that, but I think you should all watch American Dad. It's very fun.
The BOL article post announcement and post Yay Alabama interview had some quotes. I think it's from that very interview. And I thought this was such an interesting quote from Deboer, because I can't imagine Nick Saban ever saying something like this. But Deboer, and this is a quote, he said, "One thing that's cool to me is that room," meaning the QB room, "is crazy tight." I mean, that is so the antithesis of Nick Saban saying something. I mean, that just stuck out to me. He said,
I get it. Go ahead. No. What I'm saying is, I've heard a very similar story. There's a competition, and it's a real competition. I mean, and Austin Mack wants to be the starter, and Keelan Russell wants to be the starter, and they work very hard to do that. Yet, my understanding is when Ty's out there and Ty makes a good play, the first slaps on the back he gets are from Austin and Keelan, and vice versa. When they do things well, Ty's cheering them on. They're cheering each other on as they're competing. And boy, it's a very Deboer thing, you know. And I like how Luke kind of compared it to Saban, especially in this sense. It is a different culture. That is not to say Saban's culture had it all wrong. Of course, Saban had it right. The wins and losses in the championship speak for themselves. Deboer does it differently. Doesn't mean that Deboer is doing it wrong, but Deboer is more building a culture where something like that's more to happen. Saban's culture was more business-like in its approach. It obviously worked for him because that's Saban's personality. Deboer has a different personality, and Deboer's got to be Deboer, or this absolutely will not work. If Deboer does a Saban impersonation, he's going to fail spectacularly.
Yeah. Again, we're not saying Nick Saban was wrong and now this way is so much better, or vice versa. There are several ways to skin that cat. I've never understood where that came from, that saying came from. Who is skinning these cats and why? And I'm going to look that up.
Cats being skinned.
I mean, the cats are like, meow. I mean, what do we do?
I mean, we're in Alabama. They skin a lot of deer. There's literally like places off in the country where you can just drop your deer off and they'll skin it right there. But I've never seen a cats being skinned. And don't kill a cat here and expect that the same guy skinning the deer is going to skin your cat. I don't think they will.
It depends on how far back in the woods you go.
Everybody's got a price tag, I'm sure.
All right, so now that the quarterback battle is over, we're going to talk about the next battles coming up. But I'm happy to tell you about Game Time. We've all been there, logging on early and waiting forever for concert tickets to go on sale, only to lose your spot like a sucker on a show you've been dying to see. Live music should be about making memories, not dealing with the stress of ticket shopping. That's where Game Time comes in. Game Time makes it getting concert tickets faster and easier than ever because prices actually drop as it gets closer to showtime. And you can save up to 60% off with their killer last-minute deals. With Game Time, the price you see is the price you pay. There's no messing around with a bunch of hidden fees and stuff like that. Take the guesswork out of buying concert and show tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCOLLEGE. That's all one word, LOCKEDONCOLLEGE, all one word, for $20 off your first purchase. Terms do apply because they apply to everything in life. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONCOLLEGE for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. Last-minute tickets, lowest price. That's a Jimmy Stein guarantee, y'all. Okay, so what are the next battles coming up? I mean, I'm guessing, look, we know Ryan Williams is a starter. We know Jeremy Bernard will be a starter. We believe Isaiah Horton will be. But, I mean, is it the tight end position? Is it one of these offensive linemen? Is it a defensive back? What do you think?
I think there's a couple spots I want to talk about. Number one is punter. I'm not sure how vital it is that we know, but that is a battle. We don't know for sure whether the starting punter is going to be Blake Dowd, the transfer from Division III Colorado School of Mines, or true freshman Alex Asparuhov. Maybe, I don't know. I don't think we know. It's probably going to be the older kid. I default to, hey, when there's a competition, I'll take the senior over the freshman, at least to start the year. But I don't know. So there's a competition there. Again, I don't know how vital it is. Me and Luke were joking before we went on the air. Neither one of us can name the punter at Ohio State last year. So whoever it is the national champion punter. I can't name him. I can say this though. For those that think we never go negative, we're going to take a step back at punter. Whoever the punter is, he's not going to be as good as James Burnip was. We're going backwards at punter. Burnip's a starter for the Saints. Whoever wins the job this year is not an inch away from being an NFL starter. I mean, we're going backwards at punter, but that's okay. That's okay. That doesn't mean that we can just mail in the season and start looking forward to 2026. You might not be great at punter, but I do think if Alex Asparuhov, he's got a ton of potential, and I'm very confident that he can be great at some point. But like Burnip, he didn't start out great. He just ended great. And I think that's likely what we'll see from an Asparuhov. The other positions, and Luke brought up wide receiver.
Please say Asparuhov again, because I just want to say Gesundheit.
Took me a while. As a matter of fact, I don't know what happened to those notes, but I had notes up here. Oh, here they are. I've got his name written down up here just because I had to practice a few times. But yeah, Asparuhov.
God, I mean, can you imagine if Kenny, God rest Kenny Stabler's soul.
There'd be a few guys. Steve Boomwa, for instance, he would have no chance there. And Joseph Ionata is another one. I'm not sure he'd ever get Jan Zapier. Oh, Olaus Alinen.
I'm not really sure he'd nail Ty Simpson.
But he is missed. He is missed. We've had some good guys in the booths over the years. The rest of the spots, look, Womack on defense and Ryan Grubb and Deboer on offense, they play more players than Saban did. I'm not sure other spots it's quite as important because there's going to be a rotation. They're even talking about there being a rotation at guard where Cam Dewberry's the left guard, Jaden Roberts is the right guard, but Gino Vandermark constantly goes back and forth between the two spots, giving each a rest about one out of every 3 series. So in other words, Gino Vandermark getting equal snaps at left guard and right guard along with Dewberry and Roberts. So that could be a rotation. Wide receiver, you're certainly going to rotate. Running back, there will be a rotation. I think there's a battle, in terms of position battle for RB3, because I don't think your fourth guy is going to get a lot of carries. Your fourth guy, by definition, should not be getting a lot of work. You really only have room for 3. But there appears to be 4 candidates. Jam, of course, he'll be RB1. He seems to have locked down that role. But in terms of the last 2 spots, there's 3 guys, Rich Young, Dre Washington, and Daniel Hill. One of those guys probably isn't going to play very much. Who's that going to be? How many?
Can I make a prediction?
Oh,
can I stop you
and
make a prediction?
Sure.
Boy, I'm gonna get killed in the comments. I'm gonna say Richard Young.
I had this very conversation yesterday as a guest on another show, and that was the guest there too. That Rich Young would be out of the.
Hey, I hate saying it.
Yeah,
I'm not. This is not my cheering for that to happen.
Yeah.
This is my saying, okay, if you say gun to your head, you have Jam Miller, who is apparently just blowing up. And again, I know some people have said, hey, y'all been too hard on Jam Miller. Well, we haven't been too hard on him. We've just called it like we've seen it.
Called it like we see it. Yeah, he's been good. He hasn't been good enough. I do firmly believe he will be good enough this year.
Yeah.
I believe that.
I think things are going to be a lot better for Jam. I'm looking forward to it, and I think he's going to take a big step forward, and I love it. I'm happy for it. So RB2 is a battle. So, do I think that I just love what I hear about Daniel Hill. I love what I'm hearing. Dre Washington has been turning heads in practice. It is
senior.
And he's older. I'm just telling you, I haven't heard Richard's name Richard Young's name from any practice reports very much. Doesn't mean he's not doing well. I hadn't heard Alex Asparov a lot either, but I mean, it doesn't matter until you said it. But I'm just saying, if you have to make a prediction, and we're forcing ourselves into these predictions, but I think that's what makes for fun discussion. So if you're saying of those three, who gets the least amount of playing time, right now I would predict Richard Young. Doesn't mean it can't change. Doesn't mean light can't come on, whatever.
I mean, we're not rooting for him.
We're not rooting for him.
I'm rooting for all of them, but I'm rooting for Rich. Hey, but I'm saying this, hey, Rich, if you're listening to the show, and you shouldn't be, by the way, and if you're listening to the show, it probably explains why you might be falling to RB4 because you're supposed to be practicing. Because I believe that they're on the practice field right now, and practice should not consist of, hey, let's all gather around and huddle up and listen to Locked On Bama. Although that would be kind of cool if they did it. We would lose games, but it would be cool for us.
I would appreciate it.
I don't know that I want to sacrifice a loss for it, but okay. Point being, Rich, if you do listen to this on tape later, you're probably going to be RB2 in Tallahassee, probably because the season's young and you kind of ended last year in that spot. But if you are, it's time to show out, man. It's time to show out because Daniel Hill is intriguing at his size with his hands. Dre Washington is an experienced senior. I bet before they really knew him, they trusted him because he's an experienced senior, Dre Washington. So, Rich, all I'm saying is it's just time to turn it on, and hopefully you will, because I'm with Luke. I don't see how, if all four are playing, that means Jam's not playing a lot. That would be bad news. As far as I'm concerned, that'd be bad news. Jam needs to be out there a bunch because the Jam I'm expecting to see is too good to take off the field much. But if you're playing four guys, one guy's not getting.
That's right.
One guy's not really a show. You're literally doing a committee of four. And
by the way, if we're insulting anybody, it's probably AK Deer and Kevin Riley, because we hadn't even mentioned them in the discussion. And
they're talented.
They're talented. They're good. So here's hoping there's a place for them as well. I want everybody to thrive.
How about this prediction long term? And boy, this could blow up in my face and it could be so wrong. Long term, how about at the end of next spring, the three running backs that are kind of the show, three: Daniel Hill, AK Deer, and Xavier Crowell. There's your
I don't think it's crazy.
Your three at the end of next spring. Notice I had a couple of guys not mentioned. Obviously, Jam Miller's a senior, moving on. Dre Washington, a senior, moving on. I didn't mention other guys. Now, that doesn't mean I'm down on them. It means I'm up on the other guys. And so I think we got a good situation at running back. But my hope, I'm kind of old school when it comes to running backs, Luke, just me. I like the idea of having an alpha back, and that's Jam, who's substituted by, let's say, Daniel Hill, who comes in as a change of pace guy, bigger, stronger, great hands. So it's Jam Miller's alpha, Daniel Hill's the backup. And then in the fourth quarter, when you got a lead, it's time to salt the game away, put in Dre Washington or Rich Young, who comes in the fourth quarter completely fresh legs, and runs out the clock by just first down after first down after first down. That's how I draw it up on the drawing board.
Well, here's another thing. Why couldn't Richard Young could be taking a Jam Miller type path? Now, I know Jam Miller was the starter sometimes last year, and he played, but sort of bides your time, and then you become the seasoned veteran. You become the Dre Washington.
That did happen, which Jam didn't play a ton as a freshman and sophomore.
Do you remember how much we loved Jam Miller when he did get in? Do you remember that?
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, it was
way back when.
You thought, okay, there's a future. There's the future.
Oh, we loved him.
There's the future. I talked to one Alabama coach. This was a year ago. When I was bragging on Justice Haynes, show how much I was like, man, I'm pretty excited about Justice. He said, I like Jam, so, and ends up, what do you know? The coach knew more than me in terms of who they fought to keep,
Yeah.
But I think Alabama's running back situation will be fine. I would like to see a commitment to it. There was a criticism in Seattle. I don't know the Seahawks. I know the NFL, but I don't know the inner workings of every team. There was criticism in Seattle that Grubb didn't run the ball enough or didn't lean on the backs. kind of surprised me to hear that, but that was a criticism. I hope we're not saying the same thing. I think production from the running back position is a key to Alabama's 2025. Otherwise, you've put too much on Ty Simpson.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Also, I want to see Ty passing the ball too. I mean, I want to win, first of all. Like we did that last night with our volcano scenario. Like we will throw anybody in the volcano outside of Ryan Williams for Alabama to win a national championship. But I want to win first, but I think it's going to be great if Ty can just show us he can do it, show us he can pass. I mean, I don't want of course I want to win, but if we go to Florida State and we beat them, and even if we beat them 34-13, a la 1992 national championship game against Miami,
that's one of my possible scores. I'm considering that being my pick.
And he only passes for 17 yards like Jay Barker did. I believe it was 17 yards, wasn't it?
Something like that. Yeah.
It could have been 27, but I think it was 17. And I don't want that, even though that game is probably one of my favorites of all time. I also am well aware that we beat them strictly on defense too. I mean, so it'd be great to win, but I want to see Ty pass the ball around the field and make some things happen. And I think we will. All right, Jimmy. So ESPN, of course, AP came out with their poll yesterday. We didn't really discuss it. The only surprise I can see was that Penn State was 2 and Ohio State was 3. That's really the only thing. And you're picking nits there. Everything else
almost won. Penn State was almost won. It was the closest vote between 1 and 2 ever. So Penn State, the AP guys are super high on Penn State. They almost put them number 1. And I'm with you. I would have put Ohio State ahead of Penn State. And I get a lot of the James Franklin never wins a big game stuff. I'm big on James Franklin myself, but I get some people, he doesn't win the big game. Well, he's never had a team as good as this one.
Yeah.
I mean, this is the best. This is the best team he's had. He's had good teams. They've won a lot. James Franklin, if you're a James Franklin critic, James Franklin's won more games than you think he has. Now, has he won more games against the top 5? Maybe not, but is that how we're deciding who to hire and fire?
Well, not only that,
record against the top 5.
Where are the losses? The losses are to teams that won national championships, like Ohio State, or teams that were in the Final Four. The losses were like to Michigan national championship.
Generally, teams that had more good players than Penn State. That's what he loses to, teams that have more good players than he's got. And so somehow people use that as some sort of a way to trash the guy. Like he doesn't beat teams he shouldn't.
Yeah.
Well, duh.
But
that's hard to do.
When the number of teams that are better than him is only this big, it's like, I don't know. I'm like you. I think James Franklin's a really good coach.
When the Saints lose to the Chiefs this year, is some Saints fan going to be stomping around going, that Kellen Moore just can't get it done?
I know.
No.
Yeah. They will, because they're sort of nutty like that. And by the way, I said this on I did a TV segment yesterday that'll air sometime in Huntsville, but they asked us about special teams, or asked us, what am I, Sybil? But anyway, asked me about how I'm Gollum, me and Precious. So they asked us about God, I did it again. They asked me about special teams and asked about punter. And I was like, I haven't thought about punter much. It's the same discussion we had. I said, but it was wild Sunday. I watched the preseason game between the Saints and the Chargers. James Burnham versus J.K. Scott. I'd be willing to bet that hadn't happened in NFL history. 2 Alabama punters. Starting.
Yeah, there's probably been other schools that have had that, but Alabama, I can't remember us having 2 starting punters.
Chris Moore back in the day, but I mean, I don't, and certainly he punted for a while.
I'm not sure there was another Alabama punter in the NFL until J.K. Scott.
I'm with you.
Which is like a 30-year gap. And and it's crazy. That's what I'm saying. Alabama fans, we've seen J.K. Scott during the Saban era. We saw Burnham at the end of Saban and the beginning of Deboer. We got a little spoiled by those 2. That's not the norm That's not the norm. And we're
Yeah.
going to take a step back at punter. And like I said, if that means in your mind, well, the team's not going to be good if the punter's not good.
Maybe we'll fake punt a lot because Asperoff came from the Colorado School of Mimes.
No, Blake
and
Dowd came from the.
Oh, Blake Dowd. Yeah, sorry. Blake Dowd came from the School of Mimes, and he can fake a good punt. You know what I mean? It might be like, oh my God, that was so realistic. We thought he actually punted it. You know,
if he thinks he's in some sort of hidden glass box, he's going to be disappointed when someone racks him on one of these punts.
That'll be the first thing he says. He'll just be doing this, and and somebody will tackle him and go, "How'd you get through that?
How'd you get through the box?"
Anyway,
I can't get out of here.
All right, so ESPN said, okay, here's one thing, a stat to know for all the top 25 teams. And for Alabama, it was last season, Alabama had 4 losses for the first time since 2007, which also was last time the Tide finished out the AP top 10. They ended 2024 ranked 17th. Oh, God, that stings. I hate hearing that.
Loss. I don't know that we'd have been in the top 10 if we'd beat Michigan, but that Michigan loss,
that was stinky.
It infuriates me to this day. You know, the defense held them to like 180 yards.
Stinky.
Yep.
Well, I mean, we discussed this on a podcast a couple of times ago. You take away 2 interceptions. Literally, you take away any 2 interceptions you want to in any of the 4 losses, and we win the game. We go to the playoffs.
Yep. Turnovers and the losses were a thing.
All right. So I thought this was interesting, though. A couple of other ones. Georgia at number 5, 53-5. That's Georgia's record over the past 4 seasons, with 3 of the losses coming to Alabama. I mean, that's ridiculous.
I get that they hate us. I mean, that's one of the things. I mean, sometimes I'm like, I don't understand how like fan bases at like, USC is like, oh, I hate Alabama. They just hate Alabama because we win national championships.
Yeah.
Georgia, I understand Georgia hating us. I understand that we are there. I mean, in this era of tremendous Georgia success, it's kind of like probably how Phil Mickelson, when he drinks too much, thinks about Tiger Woods. Like, I would have like 17 major titles if it's not for this one guy. I would have won 17 of these things, but for this one guy. It's like Georgia's Mickelson and Saban and Alabama or Tiger Woods. I get that. Although I think in real life, I think Tiger and Phil like each other. I wouldn't be surprised to hear that they don't, but publicly, I think they do.
You know what it reminds me of a little bit? It's sort of Bama, Oklahoma. I mean, we don't have as much of a sample size with Oklahoma, surely. And we did, we beat them 45 to 34 in the Orange Bowl.
Yep.
And everybody talks about Josh Jacobs trucking that guy, and we were up 28-0. But Oklahoma came back and made that a game. But I think about the Sugar Bowl in 2014.
They beat us, and they beat us then. They beat us last year.
Yeah,
and they beat us. Remember, we played them twice during the Fran once and Shula. Fran 02 and 03. So second year Fran, first year Shula. We played Oklahoma, and they beat us both times.
Yeah, and it was
they were,
and we were not supposed to win at all in 02. I was at that game. It was scorching hot.
And we almost did.
We almost came back. We almost won. We played really well.
Really good back then. For those unaware, Oklahoma was an elite team.
They were the first or second best program in the country. USC was right there. Then a fake punt in the Shula game is what killed us on that one.
And I think Brody
Ezekiel Knight was playing wide receiver that game, wasn't he?
Brody,
and he had a big catch.
Brody threw an interception. I remember the story from somebody that was on the sidelines told me Brody threw an interception and like the first snap of the game. And of course, Oklahoma had this elite Bob Stoops defense, and it was like the first play, and Brody threw an interception. Came to the sidelines. First thing Shula told him is, "Wow, those guys are fast." But I mean, he's doing it to settle Brody down. But I'm not sure that does.
Why would that?
I'm not sure that does. But I heard, like,
oh my God, we're in trouble.
Those guys are fast.
Get help.
Well, just
that is. I mean,
got to play fast.
That is such a Mike Shula story. I can't even. I can't even. But anyway,
hey, Shula will be a story this year. I mean, he's Lenore Sellers' quarterback coach. He's actually a really good quarterback coach. He's one of the best, actually. And it'll be really interesting to see how about this as a litmus test for Mike Shula? People talking about him as OC calling the play. Sure. Is Lenore Sellers the number 1 pick in the draft next spring? If so, that's a Mike Shula victory lap. Making that guy the number 1 pick could happen. I don't think it will. You know, I think it's going to be the number 1 pick. Boy, this will be unpopular here. I think Klubnik will be the number 1 pick.
Yeah, I've seen people do that, but I don't know. We'll see. All right. That's going to do it for today's pod. We'll be back tomorrow with more. Until then, roll tide, everybody.
Roll tide.